Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? All right. Super grateful to be here. And the launch that I'm excited to announce is that I've officially launched my fund, Tenacity Capital. So excited to do that here. I just posted on LinkedIn. So if I deliver on this session and add some value to you, make sure to take out your phone, like it, share it, repost it. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I've been very fortunate to be a part of these 3 iconic companies helping to drive go-to-market. And what I'm going to do today is tell you about how to build your GTM muscle. So in terms of where I want to start, I think so many founders, raise your hand if you're a founder in the audience. Okay. I think so many founders start with the what. They get onto a sales call. They talk with investors about the what. My challenge to you all is to focus on the why. The why is more interesting. The why is more compelling. And I've seen it firsthand from Stuart Butterfield, Arvind Jain, that talking about your why is a huge differentiator and how you as a founder can sell more effectively. And I think it's the skill, frankly, being able to sell is the skill that we all as humans need to do. I'm a big believer. And has anyone in the audience read Daniel Pink, To Sell Is to Be Human? No? It's a great book. It talks about just how it's one of the most important skills is to sell. And for me, authenticity and conviction about what you're selling changes the game and how you show up. So when I think about Stuart Butterfield, he could have talked about, oh, we're building a messaging platform. That's not compelling. What's compelling is Stuart launched a company where he saw firsthand how alignment across his team and his organization was impacted and limited by the fact that people couldn't communicate effectively. And so that is why he launched, ultimately, Slack. Arvind Jain, his why was he spent over a decade building the best external search engine in the world called Google. And he realized when he went to go found Rubrik that his teams could not find information internally. And he felt very deeply that there was a disconnect between why could he build the best external search engine in the world and why isn't there something internal that can be just as good? Those are more compelling, and that's what I would challenge you all to focus on is the why. Enterprise sales, how many people in the audience are selling a product that's selling to the enterprise? Raise your hand. I think so much of it is about when you connect with buyers and when you get on the phone with someone, it's about asking the right questions. It's about being curious. It's about showing care. And part of what we do at Tenacity Capital is we do a lot of call recording coaching. So there's a couple startups that I've backed. One of them is Peak AI. Marius and the team there are doing amazing things at Peak AI. And I've done call coaching with them. And what we talk about is what's the talk time look like? Are you as the founder or you as the seller talking more than the customer? And I look at those percentages and I try to get someone to at least be at 50-50. The majority of sales calls that you as a founder, if you were to send me your call recordings, it'd be 70-80% you talking, 20% the customer. And that's what needs to change. When I think about the 2 methodologies that I care the most about, it's the challenger sales method and the qualified sales leader. The qualified sales leader was a book written by John McMahon who built the Medic playbook. The challenger sale, when I think about that, that's the one that resonates with me the most. That's what I learned at Facebook. It's when you go into a conversation, in addition to starting with the why, like asking the questions to the customer, being curious, you need to come into the room and come into the conversation with a point of view, having some research and teaching that customer something about what your product can deliver. I see Cal in the audience. Hi, Cal. When I think about Slack, Stuart, Cal, they were talking about coming in with a point of view around, if we're talking to a sales leader about Slack, we come in and we say, fundamentally, we believe that Slack can improve your ability to sell deals faster, can lower your turnaround time because you're going to be able to triage questions from the customer faster. So it's like being able to tie it back to things that matter to the customer. And that's this other point. So many people go into these sales calls and they focus on products and features. I'm just going to walk around a little bit more. Product and features. And I think what you really need to talk to customers about is the pain and is the business value. Right now, I think it's more important than ever to be, with AI and the solutions that are being kind of put into the market, you need to tie it back to business pain points. You need to tie it back to the value that you're going to deliver for that particular person you're on the conversation with, or the person you're having the ultimate decision makers. Scrappy mindset. Anyone that knows me, Cal's smiling. I'm a very scrappy person, and I think you as founders, obviously you're scrappy. I have one smidget of empathy now because I launched Tenacity Capital. It's not even close to what you are doing in terms of actually building products, but I have some empathy, and it requires being scrappy. And when I think about it, it's champions. It's how do you do quick follow-up? How are you finding creative ways to get to the outcomes that you need to get to keep the ball moving? I'm not going to go through MEDDIC methodologies, so don't worry. I'm not going to go through all of this, but it is something I don't think many founders know, and so I want to put it forward. I see some cameras coming out, so it wasn't a total fail. What I want to focus on, though, is the two most important things in my mind. Number one, it's the economic buyer, and number two is the champion. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into these in a second, but the reason these are the two most important for me is because ultimately sales is a people business. And what you're selling, yes, it needs to be a good product, it needs to be tied to value, but there are people on the other end of the line that they need to take a bet on you. They need to take budget and put it towards your product. And there's two main people that I think matter in every cycle. It's the ultimate economic buyer who's going to move their budget, and then it's the champion. And the champion is not always, and in many cases, is not the economic buyer. The champion is someone that could be a rock star engineer that the CEO just trusts. A champion could be the best seller inside the company who is going to go to the CRO and push something forward. So these are some nuances. Now the question I think a lot of founders ask me is how do you test? How do you know who's who? And so what I want to give you is these come from the Qualified Sales Leader Playbook, and these are questions that I think you should think about asking. And I'm just going to talk on the champion one. One of the simple questions that I coach my founders to ask when they tell me they have a champion, I say, call the champion. I say, number one, are you in a texting relationship with that champion? And they say no. I'm like, that's not a champion yet. You need to be on a texting relationship or a Slack Connect relationship. But the question you need to be able to ask that person is, hey, what's an example of a piece of product, a piece of software that you have helped purchase or champion inside your organization? And if that person on the other end of the line says, oh, I just started 2 months ago. I don't know how to buy software here. That's a red flag and a risk in your sales cycle. And so these are a couple of the questions that I would be thinking about asking for the two most important parts of the MEDDIC methodology. How many people here are doing pilots with customers? How many people are doing free pilots? Okay, the first thing I want to talk and teach you all is don't call them pilots, don't call them POCs anymore. We are going to change your vernacular, and it's going to be proof of value. Proof of value is just a very simple way to change your internal language that also becomes external language. Because first off, why do we have to do? I'm going to use the POC and pilot just because we're all kind of in that fight right now. We should be trying to get customers to buy our software without doing a POC or a pilot. And the reason you want that is because if a customer, I had one of the best sales leaders I ever worked for is this guy named Simon Whitcomb. He's now runs all of go-to-market for North America at Facebook. He used to say to me, AJ, our job as sellers is to find the shortest path to enlightenment you possibly can for a customer. And that is what, people think about POCs and pilots as, it's gonna help me get the customer to buy quickly. First off, we don't know that. Two, we need to make sure it's qualified, because you can spend a lot. How many people here have done a pilot or a POC and they have not closed it and they spent 2, 3, 4 months wasting resources? It's okay. I've done it multiple times. Cal, I did it with Humana at Slack. I made him do a bunch of HIPAA stuff. He's like, what the hell, AJ? But we've all been there around doing pilots and POCs that aren't truly qualified. And so my reframe for all of you is to move it from a POC and pilot, call it a proof of value, try to get upfront commitment. So one of the things I did at Glean when I joined, when we just hit about 4 million in revenue, all of the deals prior had been free POCs, free pilots, and it was a good, it was a decent strategy. But we ended up shifting very quickly into changing it into getting an upfront commitment, getting some commercial commitment around what that customer was willing to pay if we were successful in the proof of value, and coming up with what the criteria were. So again, I think the key in these deal cycles is to be able to have a little bit more control, and I think just doing free POCs and pilots, you can lose control. The bonus tip, does anyone know the give-get strategy? It's very simple. So if you end up having to go down the path of doing a proof of value that is about giving the customer access to your product to use it, I want you all to be thinking about a give-get. Meaning if you have to do that, are you getting something in return? Are you getting an executive meeting because you're giving that customer something? Are you getting a multi-threaded conversation? So this give-get strategy is a part of the lingo in kind of go-to-market that I think all of you need to be thinking. If you're going to be giving something to a customer or prospect, what are you getting in return? Just to kind of show you a little bit of the scrappiness that I'm talking about, I want to give you play a quick video of an example of kind of the grit that you need to have and the creative attention. And this is me selling T-Mobile when I was at Slack.
What's the most creative thing you've done to win a deal?
With T-Mobile at Slack, one of T-Mobile's key differentiators is like team of teams, how they differentiate both with customer experience in the retail stores and online. And so what I did is went into a retail store, became friends with one of the retail people, recorded him on the technical challenges he was having, how he works, where he thought Slack could play a role. I became friends with this guy. I did the same thing with a support agent where I just called in, pretend to be a T-Mobile customer, get in the day of the life. And the cherry on top was I knew the CEO at the time used to hang out at the W bar in Seattle. And so before an on-site, I just stayed in that W bar and John Ledger came in and I went up to him and we spent time chatting. And then the next day I saw him in the lobby. I'm like, hey, John. He's like, AJ, good to see you again. And that was like as I was walking into a CIO meeting. And Cody Sanford at the time was like, how do you know John? Like the CEO of our company.
So, I share that, and by the way, I am a happy T-Mobile customer now. Just to clarify, I am a T-Mobile customer. But I share that just to kind of give you an example of what I think in terms of the creativeness that you need to have when you sell. So shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to talk about when to scale. So my point of view on when to scale is if you are a PLG company, that's nearing 2 million in revenue, or you're a enterprise business that's nearing 10 plus committed pilots with a path to revenue, I think you should move quickly to hire these roles. I'm not the person that's gonna say you should hire a head of sales right away. I think what you should be looking for is this senior AE that's probably been a manager in the past, that's a player coach, a more junior AE that's got 5 years, a solution engineer or a forward deploy engineer, and then this product marketer. So this is my playbook that I've talked with a lot of founders about, and it's resonated. I'm working right now with Rachel at Frontier Health, and I kind of tested this with her. She's in that seed stage, almost at this point, not quite, but she's like, if we get to these milestones, I think you're right. This is what we should go with. Now, hiring criteria and how you hire, I'm a huge believer in focusing on track record of success, creative problem solving, and clear product passion, but I'm gonna go a little bit more into the details here. Hiring is like the hardest challenge you're gonna have, but it is also the highest leverage skill that you can have as a founder. Anyone here familiar with the WHO hiring methodology? Okay, a couple people. This is the methodology that kind of had been tested for a long time. What it does is it looks at, almost similar to what I said on the why for founders, this is going deep into the history of an individual on the why of their own personal journey. Some people give me flack because I will go into interviews, and I still interview candidates, and I ask people, where did you grow up and what did you do in high school? I want to get to know someone from that early stage in their life. And by the way, I don't give a shit what college you went to, anything like that. What I'm trying to get a sense for is your why. How did you make the decisions that you made to go from your earliest times to the next job, the next career, the next challenge? And you using this deep chronological interview, I find you really get to know a person and you get to know what's driving them and what are the competencies that they have. So within this, there's also other kind of methods and tricks to this. What I try to do is ask people, hey, who is like the most challenging person you worked with at this company, and what's an example? And you say, what did you learn from that? And then you ask them, hey, what's that person's name again? Or if I talk to that person, what would they say about you? And so what you're trying to do is push people to go deeper, to get into like real talk of how they think and what are examples and true examples of what they've done. I also do believe in, for sales in particular, that you want to actually see someone present and do a presentation. So I do think if you are in this stage of hiring AEs, hiring talent that's going to be external, I want to see them doing a live example of account preparation, a pitch, but ultimately for me it comes back to the passion that this person has and the why for the decision to ultimately join your company. So this is one of the bonus interview questions that I have shared with other founders when I've done this talk that resonates. I think a lot of founders and folks will ask questions about like what percent to goal. All they'll look for is like, is this person high achieving? Do they have a strong reference? All of those things are good, but I have a strong point of view that creative problem solving skills and doing it real time matter a lot. So one of the questions that I ask every sales leader, whether it's a senior person or AE, or hey, what are the 10 different data points you would use to stack rank who to go after, who to sell to with our product? And that might sound simple, but I'm asking that question randomly through the interview process, almost to put the person on the spot. And I ask them, and what they'll do is a lot of the people that I interview, and I just interviewed this like VP of sales for this very large company that I'm helping, and the person quickly rattled off three of the things, But where they struggle is 4 through 10. And what you want is actually someone that can have super high motor to think about a lot of creative ways to think about who to go after. And what I then do if it's someone I'm really trying to test is if they get to the 10, I'm like, hey, let's just go through 10 more. Like, what are 10 other ones? What are other 10 and why? And what you really want to try to push them on is, and it's not trying to be a jerk in the interview, it's really trying to get them to think creatively, because ultimately, you all as founders are going to be dealing with lots of dynamic situations in your go-to-market, and you want someone that has high velocity for creative thinking. So this is a question that's worked well for me for 20 years now. In terms of building sales infrastructure as you go, here are some of the building blocks and the basics that I would sort of challenge and ask all of you to think about. Number one is like set a target for net new meetings. Like really challenge your AEs, even in the early days, to hit at least 5 net new meetings a week. And that's even a little bit on the low side. I still am a believer in sales development organizations for for outbound enterprise. So I would start thinking about a sales development organization once you get to 3 million. Implementing CRM and forecasting discipline, doing that earlier is just always a good thing. So a weekly cadence of really thinking about what are the deals that we're working on? What's your forecast? When do we think this is going to close? What are some of those next steps? And then roughly speaking, I think if you get to that 5 to 10 million in ARR, like I think up leveling and hiring that head of sales it's a good time to do it. So this is some of the building sales infrastructure, and that's kind of my talk, and I'm excited to again announce Tenacity Capital on stage here at Slush, and hopefully everyone enjoyed the session. And if I added any value to you, please get on LinkedIn, share, and I'm going to be a part of the Q&A a little bit later. So thank you all.